Hi, I'm Adam Kunzmiller with RPG Geek at Gen Con 2015, and I'm joined by Chris Pramus from Green Ronin Publishing, and we are here to talk about Fantasy Age and Titan's Grave as well.
That's right.
So what can you tell me about Fantasy Age?
So Fantasy Age is our new role-playing game. It uses the adventure game engine, which was originally designed for the Dragon Age RPG. And when we published that a few years ago, we immediately began hearing from people who loved the rules but weren't interested in the Dragon Age setting per se.
Sure.
And they were like, oh, you're ever going to break those out? And
Right.
so when Will Wheaton contacted me and said he wanted to do the Titan's Grave project, that seemed like the perfect time to do Fantasy Age. So
I would think so.
Yeah. So we were working on a game called Eldritch Age at the time, which was going to be rules and setting together. But we decided to sort of put that to the side and do Fantasy Age and then Titan's Grave.
So for those not familiar with the Dragon's Age system, how does Fantasy Age compare to maybe other fantasy role-playing systems that people may be familiar with?
Right. So it's a class and level system, so that's familiar to people.
Sure.
The sort of the killer app of the Age system is the stunt mechanic.
Okay.
So basically everything you do in the game, you've got abilities, which are strength, dexterity, that sort of thing. And when you're going to do something, you roll 3d6, add them together, and you add your ability and try to hit a target number. So that's easy enough, and
Sure.
like a lot of other games. What's different is, of your 3d6, two of them are one color, third die is a different color. That off-color die is called the Stunt Die in Fantasy Age and the Dragon Die in Dragon Age. And that controls your stunts. So if you roll doubles on any of the dice of your 3d6 and you succeed on the test, then you have done a stunt. And there's different kinds of stunts. Combat stunts, role-playing stunts, exploration stunts for the different sorts of encounters. And basically, you get a number of stunt points equal to the result of your stunt die. So if you got a 4 on that d6, you get 4 stunt points. And then you've got a menu of different stunts you can do.
So we've got the combat stunts here. So you don't necessarily have to choose these ahead of time?
No,
or?
in fact, it's designed that you don't.
Right, okay.
So the idea is that you roll a stunt, you get your stunt points, and then immediately you decide how you're going to spend them. And you get to spend all of them. So if you get 4 points, you could do 2 2-point stunts, 1 3, 1 1, whatever.
So what are some of the things that a stunt could do? Like what is a 2-point stunt?
So like in combat, you might have Pierce Armor, which halves the armor rating of the person you're attacking. You could have Mighty Blow, which is you do an extra 1d6 points of damage. You might have Lightning Attack, which lets you attack another time. And you pick the effects that you generate, and then you narrate like the cool move that you did to pull off the stunt. So it's basically like a dynamic critical hit system. It was originally just combat and spells that had stunts, and then we added in role-playing and exploration stunts because people just really liked the mechanic and wanted to see it used in every part of the game.
And now that we've gone away from Dragon Age, what's the setting here? What's tying it all together?
So Fantasy Age has no intrinsic setting. So
more of a system to work with?
Yes, it's a system. You can do your own homebrew, or you can use Freeport or whatever setting you like.
Guessing that's where Titan's Grave comes into play?
Correct, yes. So Titan's Grave is a project we've been working with Will Wheaton and Geek and Sundry on. It is a web series, which basically is a role-playing campaign that you can watch. So Will runs the game or campaign over 10 episodes. He runs it for Hank Green, Yuri Lowenthal, Alison Hayslip, and Laura Bailey. And I worked with Will and his son Ryan to create this setting called Volcana, which is a science fantasy setting. Will's a huge fan of Thundar the Barbarian, so essentially it's inspired by Thundar and the heavy metal movie and things like that. So it's it's like swords and spells and blasters and robots and that kind of stuff.
You have like fantasy creatures and stuff like that too. So you'd be riding a dragon, carrying your blaster, blaster rifle or what have you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very cool.
And so the book we have here is it is the adventures that were run on the show, plus an introduction to the world. And then next year we're going to do a proper campaign setting book for the whole setting.
Cool.
So this is basically like a broad overview of the setting, and then you can see the adventures that were run on the show, If you've seen them, it's okay because there's extra encounters and optional things and whatever, so you can really make the story your own. And if you haven't seen it, well,
there you go.
there you go.
Great. And then you also brought along one of the Dragon Age
I did.
core books. So what can you tell us about Dragon Age?
So this is the new Dragon Age core rulebook. When we originally released Dragon Age, it was in a series of box sets. So we did 3 of them, and they each covered a number of levels. So the first set was 1 to 5, then 6 to 10, 11 to 20. So the core rulebook combines all 3 of those box sets into one. So it's the complete level 1 to 20 rules, and it has almost all the content in the box sets. The only thing it's missing is the adventure from set 1, because that was the most played Dragon Age adventure that there was. So we designed a new adventure for this book.
Fresh.
Yes. And then we also added a few new monsters, a few new specializations. We updated the history a little bit. So this is basically the new starting point for Dragon Age. And it's quite comprehensive, 440 pages.
Yeah, this is a very dense and beautiful book, too.
Yeah.
There's really, really cool stuff in it.
Yeah.
So since these all have kind of the same core behind them, is there interplay between these if players want?
Yes. So the engine, the core engine is the same. There are some slight differences. The magic system in Dragon Age and Fantasy Age are a little bit different. The Dragon Age one is designed to emulate how magic works in the world of Thetis. And Fantasy Age is a little different. And the abilities are slightly different, but it's easy to convert between them. So you could easily take a monster out of Fantasy Age and use it in Dragon Age if you wanted to, and vice versa.
Very cool. Well, thank you very much, Chris. And once again, this was, I guess, the Age series?
The Age system? Yes.
The Age system.
The adventure game engine.
The new kind of release of Dragon Age that compiles all these previous items, and then the Fantasy Age and core system and the Titan's Grave setting.
That's right.
All right. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. Pleasure.